Florian speaking. Very happy to be with you today, though it's in remote. Promise next year I will do my best to be there in person. Nevertheless, I will share with you 5 data points to help you get a glimpse of the state of InsurTech Europe. For those who are not familiar with us, at Astoria, we are investing in InsurTech. We are investing at seed stage, meaning very early in startup journey, and we are investing across Europe. That's based on this background that we try to gather data points, KPIs, key learnings from the market, and that's what I will try to summarize with you today. Let's start with the first point on the market, which is basically the activity of InsurTech. So we analyze the investment announced in the first half of this year, and basically, as you can see on the right of the slide, a bit more than 700 million euros were invested in the first half of 2022. How does that compare with the same period last year? Basically, it was way more last year. 1,755 million euros invested in the first half of 2021. So as you can see on the right part of the slide, that's a huge 60% drop from a year before. But if you have a look at the left part of the slide, which is another way to compute the activity market, you can see that basically, in terms of number of rounds announced, it was something similar. 57 rounds announced in the first half of this year compared to 52 rounds announced last year, which is a 10% increase. You may have made the math. More deals announced, less money invested. It means that in average, the rounds were lower, and basically that's what we see on the market. More mature deals are not necessarily struggling, but it's getting tougher for them to raise huge rounds or mega rounds. On the other hand, at early stage, there is still a lot happening, which makes sense. First, because InsurTech is still in the early days, and there is still a lot to address in terms of insurance innovation. Second point, let's have a look at the value chain itself. No surprise, distribution is once again over 50% of the round announced. This has always been the case since inception being around 2014. But what is interesting is that if we have a look back at all the story of InsurTech, we can see several waves of innovation and technology applied to insurance in the distribution part of the value chain. The first wave, as you may remember, was mainly direct distribution. So basically, startup offering digital subscription journey for commoditized product, home insurance, car insurance, pet insurance. Then the second wave was rather offering technology to existing distribution channel. So basically, brokers and agents. Here, the idea was to digitize the relationship between the agent's broker and the end customer. And the more recent wave, which is embedded insurance, we can have a 1-hour discussion on what is it exactly. Nevertheless, this is basically technology enabling third party become insurance distributors. So that's a new distribution stream for insurance companies, and it's gaining momentum. So basically, if it's true that distribution is still very hot, it's getting more and more granular, and there is still a lot opportunities to address in that section of the market. Now let's have a look at the geography, because if most of the corporate are usually working with local players, local InsurTech, French insurance companies working with French InsurTech, Italian insurance company working with Italian InsurTech, etc. The truth is that InsurTech is happening across Europe. And beyond the 3 biggest ecosystems, what was very interesting again in the first half of this year is that a third, 33%, a third of all rounds announced happened outside of these 3 biggest ecosystems, and you may be proud of that. Italy is leading the wave of what we could call the rest of Europe. This is a very nice recovery from 2021, which was unusually very quiet in the Italian market. Spain still very active, and then you can see a mix of, let's say, the Nordics and Eastern Europe. But long story short, if you are looking for tech solution for your pain points, you should have a European look at the market, because the best solution might not be on your local domestic market, but rather be outside, because again, a lot is happening across Europe. Now let's have a look at the business line, because we often hear that InsurTech is all about P&C. So P&C here is in blue, and as you can see, a lot is happening beyond P&C. Let's have a look at the three biggest ecosystems first, Germany, France, and the UK. As you can see, depending on where you are, the split between business lines is a bit different. In Germany, there were no life, in yellow, and no health, in green, deals announced in the first half of this year. On the other hand, in France, for instance, health, in green, is very active. No surprise that in the UK, you can see commercial line in dark gray and life in yellow, very active. And if you move to the rest of Europe, if I may say that, again, you see that the split and the balance between business line is even more important than on other areas and other geographies. So again, a lot is happening, and there is no business line which is not subject to innovation in terms of technology and in terms of InsurTech. Last point that I wanted to highlight is around regulation. I would not have been exhaustive about InsurTech if I hadn't mentioned regulation, but beyond the joke, I took the example of embedded insurance to show how innovation is happening anyway. If you remember, earlier last year, in January 2021, EIOPA, the European regulator, issued a kind of market call to collect feedback from the market on open insurance and embedded insurance. More recently, in June 2022, so basically a year and a half after the market request, they published a summary of the feedback that they collected. In the meantime, as you can see on the upper part of the slide, a lot happened on the startup scene. Cover raised a huge round. They are still leading the wave in Europe, but other early stage rounds were announced. We cover in Spain, Hakuna in Berlin, Insify in the Netherlands, and interestingly, Insify is targeting SMEs, and more is happening right now. So what I wanted to highlight there is that if there is a regular question about regulation, the market is moving forward anyway and is even accelerating. So innovation is not a matter of regulation by design, but happen anyway. Thanks a lot. That's it for me. Obviously happy to reconnect on any of this discussion topic, either on social network. If you'd like to challenge my point of view, happy to discuss that with you. And obviously, I hope to see you soon in the European InsurTech scene. Bye.